I am so glad to be with you. This is something that I am passionate about, and that is how to turn that rotten apple around. I'm sure you've heard the saying, the rotten apple will spoil the barrel. Well, have you had that happen? I'm sure you have, because everywhere I go, I see people in companies suffering from that person who's unwilling, uncooperative, and really just full of blame. What kind of a toll does that take on you? What toll does it take on your team? And also think about your incredible customers, because you know they are being affected by this negativity. Have you ever walked into a restaurant or a retail store and two people aren't getting along, or someone rolls their eyes as they talk, and it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I want to get the heck out of here. So we just race back out of the door and we don't purchase anything. So here's the deal. We really need to get sensitive to this, and very often we desensitize ourselves to people who are negative. You know, it's kind of like we're terrified of them. They have so much power over us. And I've got to ask you, as business leaders, why are you tolerating this by allowing people to do any of this? And sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it's just a matter of, sure, they say they'll do something and they don't do it. Or they say that they'll try to do something and they don't do it. So it's sometimes subtle, but there's a consistency. So I'm really curious, if you have someone that is bringing the team down, what are you doing about it? I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can shift it around, or insights about what's really going on inside of that person. And the first thing that I really want to ask you is, can you change somebody else? Can you? Have you tried? Does it work? No. So who's the person you can change? That's right, yourself. So when you see someone behaving in a way, and you've attempted to talk to them, and you've attempted to change their behavior, and nothing has worked. I mean, I have worked in companies where they have stacks and stacks of write-ups on an employee. The employee's still working there. So how effective is that? Not. So I'm going to say that the consequences of not getting these 3 tips could really cause you so much more stress, could cause your team to burn out, because guess who's actually thinking about this person all the time? Pretty much everyone. And it causes people in some ways to just be kind of reluctant to go to work every day if they know that they're going to be working side by side with this person. Now, if it's a boss, it's more serious, because everyone's looking at that person for leadership and guidance, and if they are finding fault, it's crazy. I used to be a regional manager of 110 stores in 6 states for General Nutrition Centers. And I remember working with the vice president of stores, and his way of doing things was to find a fault. He'd go into some place and he'd just, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, and then he'd leave. And the people are standing there going, oh my God, I'm so deflated, I don't know what to do. So that game is really that person not taking any responsibilities. My mission is to turn this work environment into a place where people love to go to work every day, and they know how to turn things back around when things go off track. So imagine what it would be like if everyone was productive, committed, and enthusiastic, and really linked arms with you to bring out the very best in themselves every day, and also to align themselves towards your common goals. But what I've been doing is learning how to draw out the best, the vision, how to create the culture, and really set the culture based on trust, and how to rebuild it when it breaks, because trust is fragile, and there are little things that trigger it broken, but we can consciously build it back. And what happens when you have a company that shares a vision and everyone's aligned, amazing things happen. So because of this foundation, I've seen companies double their sales. I've seen their expansion, and we also structure the organization so that everybody knows what good looks like, and they have a system for teaching and learning, and they teach themselves their job. And there's a set of mentors to keep it rolling, and it is beautiful. And once you have that set in place, woohoo, sky's the limit. So let's get down to brass tacks here. What do you do with a rotten apple? So one of the things that I want to bring to your attention is that, like the find the flaw game, our mind is very seduced by negativity. And it's only because it's the amygdala in our brain that was like the dinosaur prehistoric brain that used to tell us instantly without consciously thinking to run from the big animals and, and then eat the little ones. So our brain is actually set for fight or flight or freeze. And what happens is automatically when anybody even goes, our brain goes, what's going on? And you know how people gawk when they see an ambulance at some sort of on the street somewhere, if they're always looking for blood. Our brain is conditioned to have negativity take the forefront. Is that crazy? So I want you to know that it's normal for people to respond and react to negativity. But you've got to overcome that with consciousness. When someone is unwilling, have you ever attempted to make them willing? Does it work? You might be able to make them willing for a very short time, but on their own, are they going to continue being willing? So I'm going to say to you, and again, it's an insight, if you allow them to continue and they continue to be unwilling, what kind of damage do they cause? And you know what? Don't be afraid to do career adjustment with something when it's not working, because it doesn't serve anyone, especially yourself and your customers, to tolerate. Because when you allow a person who's negative or who's unwilling or uncooperative to stay, what are you telling them non-verbally? The one everyone walks around so they don't confront them. And the second thing is, when someone's blaming, it sends a terrible message to everyone. Because how much responsibility is someone taking when they're blaming? Zero. And so, is that accurate? No. We are all responsible for what we create in our lives. True? So, in some way, the situation that's going on with your business right now is a reflection of you. It's a reflection of your mindset. It's a reflection of your consciousness. It's a reflection of how much you're burnt out or how off track you are with your passion. So the first place to turn that around is to reconnect with your own values, with your own passion, with what means something to you. So you really feel that purposefulness every single day. And that is such an important part of being a leader, is to know where you're going, why you're going there, who you're serving. So this is really an important part of it. And the last thing I'm going to say is, if you can't change their thinking, change the person. So if you're working for a jerk, leave. Don't tolerate it. It's your life. It's your soul. And if you have someone unwilling, you know it's not working well for them. So I really hope that these tips have really assisted you, and I want to get some clarity on you not tolerating performance or attitudes that you cannot turn around. And you've got to sometimes just take a look and say, you know what, it used to work great, but it's not working anymore. So these things are so practical and so important. So please share this video and also invite people to join, because I get to be with you and I also get to share the things that are so dear to my heart, and the techniques, tools, and tips that make a difference in people's lives. And that's what I'm all about. So thank you so much for joining me. Make comments too, please. Just let me know how this is settling for you, and truly reach out. I'd love to talk to you. Take care.